What's her specialty? Neurosurgeon. And what topic did she say she's doing today? Dirty heart.
Okay, now as we said, thank you. As we said, every afternoon we'll be having different programs, and the purpose of the program is to train all of us up so that we can become efficient and effective missionary, so we can help to change and transform lives. So last week, for those who were here, the young people did exceptionally well. I thought I'd hear an amen. The young people, so every third Sabbath afternoon, when we're not going out to do missionary work, the young people be in charge. Every second Sabbath, myself and Pastor Jesse will be leading out in a Bible study, Discovery Bible Study. So we're training you so that you can start small groups and start. We've done at least 5 lessons so far. We have a few more to go, so that by the end of April, when the sun starts coming out, we are ready to go and to create more disciples. Are we together? Every first Sabbath, the Family Life Department is leading with a family session. As a matter of fact, next week we're going to have somebody talking about trauma, how to deal with trauma in your family, right? And these are qualified trained individuals who not only are trained professionally, but they're also trained spiritually. They're members of the church. Right. We have chosen here one of the matrons, and I had the joy of working with her on a certain ward in the hospital when I go in as a chaplain. And she's very influential. We know her, right? Sister Joel Quinn is our new our new health ministries leader. All right, so I'm going to present her to you. This is going to be the first program of many programs. that she's going to be organizing and leading out each Sabbath afternoon. Please invite your friends. We want to use these not just for us to become spiritually big as I am. We want to share and exercise so we can be as slim as Derek is, all right? Okay, good. So at this time, I'm going to turn over to our health ministry leader who will introduce to you our special guest at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you very much for such a big turnout to our first health ministry program for 2023. And everyone knows my name. My name is Joel, as in the Bible. So you can just call me Joel. And today I'm going to introduce Dr. Raenette David. She's a neurosurgeon by profession, and she'll be doing the talk this evening for us. So we are free to ask any questions if you're in doubt, or make little notes, please. So I'll hand you over to Dr. Raenette.
Happy Sabbath, everyone. Oh, there's a bit of people in here. Happy Sabbath, everyone. Happy Sabbath. I am glad to be here again. It feels like home. I've had some hugs since I've been in for some people who I have not seen in a long time. And I am thankful to Pastor and Joel for inviting me. Now, I know you're wondering, why is a neurosurgeon talking about heart? I have no business talking about heart. But we'll get to that part of the story. Now, today we're going to talk a little bit about having a healthy heart. And I think if your heart is healthy, you will be happy. Is that correct? I'm not a preacher, so you're going to have to interact with me a little bit. Sometimes when I get excited, I go quite fast. So you can give me a little signal to slow down if you see me getting a bit happy and, a little bit twitchy on this side. So let's talk about the heart. Now, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the heart. We're going to talk about some of the diseases that we see in the heart, and we're going to talk about how we're going to prevent those. Shall we move on? Next slide. So, what is the heart? One more. What is the heart? It's an organ. All right, that's a good start. What else? It's a pump. Exactly, it pumps blood throughout your entire body. So, the heart is an organ which is a part of the circulatory system, so one that sends blood around the entire body. And with every beat, it pumps blood throughout the body. Now, where is it located? On the left-hand side of? Whose heart is on the opposite side, but most of us, our hearts are on the left. And the blood that it pumps carries oxygen to all parts of the body for giving it nutrition and all of that. And then it takes away all of the toxins. All right? So what are the functions of the heart then? Yes. So you thought it was a trick question? I know. So the heart's main function is to move blood throughout your body. And it controls the rhythm, it controls the speed of your heart rate, it maintains your blood pressure, the thing that goes up when your children do those wrong things that you tell them not to do. Yeah, your blood pressure. So, and it also works with other organs to regulate that heart rate, Because you know when you see that big dog, oh, okay, I'm not in the Caribbean anymore. You don't have big black dogs that run out from your yard here. What scares you here? Pit bull, right. So when the pit bull comes up, your nervous system sends a signal to say heartbeat faster, and your heart rate goes up. Or when you go for an interview, and you know, it's your first time to that employer, your heart rate goes up. But there are also other times when your heart rate might go up. When you take a drive from Bristol to London, sometimes my heart rate goes up at that point. Now, what is one of the longest journeys in the UK? Okay, Scotland too. London to Scotland, okay. So for those driving into the enthusiast, how long is that journey? You're close. You need to add a bit more. Okay, well, somebody is speeding. They don't obey the speed limits on this side of the church. Now, in terms of miles, do you have any idea how long it takes? Or how long, in terms of how many miles would that be? Okay, so we're thinking about if we were to go to the longest journey in the UK, it's from Land's End to John O'Groats. Now, forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And that's 874 miles. Now, I have a few amazing facts for you. Next slide. The heart doesn't work by itself. Remember I told you it's part of the circulatory system. So it works in conjunction with arteries and capillaries and veins. Now you need all of these, just like how you need the highways and the smaller streets, your motorways and your A1s and Bs, to be able to get blood around the entire body. Now, if we were to stretch out all of the arteries, capillaries, and veins, they are going to extend 600,000 miles. Now, I think there must be a God. I'm certain there is a God. All right? Because that means that that journey that you just talked about there, that according to Google Maps takes 14 hours, you can do that at least 600 times with the capillaries, arteries, and veins in your body. And did you know that the Earth's circumference is only 25,000 miles? So you can wrap those capillaries, arteries, and veins around it 2.5 times. Now there is a good God out here who's made us perfect. Now, let's see some more. What about, you said the heart pumps, right? So on average, how much does the human heart, or how many beats is there per minute? 70, 72, okay, anybody else? 77, okay, I feel you're holding on to a close range there. All right, so anywhere between 60 to 100 beats, all right? So on average, about 80 beats per minute. So that means every day, your heart beats, where's the mathematicians in here? 115,000 times a day. And that's 42 million times a year. Which means that your heart pumps about 200,000 gallons of blood every day. Now, I want you to have a look at this truck on the other slide and tell me how much water you think might be in there. Not that much, right? Nothing compared to how much the heart is putting out per day. All right, we have some more questions because I see that we have some studious people in here. What animal has the largest heart? Okay. We have one elephant, a giraffe, what else? Oh, a whale. All right. So the blue whale has the largest heart of all mammals. This heart weighs 440 pounds. Now that would take a few of us in here to make up 440 pounds, right? And it is as tall as 5 feet. So just shorter than I am. Now what is the smallest heart? What is this? What animal has the smallest heart? Okay, we have one cat. We have one. Right. Now I did help that with this one. Nutrition shoe, and you'll see what a nutrition shoe looks like on the other slide. So this animal, actually, its heart beats only 5 beats per minute. So our heart beats at? Yeah, 60 to 180 on average. How much does the blue whale heart beat per minute? The blue whale heart only beats 5 beats per minute. And how much does the nutrition shoe beat?
Maybe 100.
1,500. So can you imagine, these are different ranges of heart rates overall. So your heart is a very intricate and valuable organ. Now, you came here to talk about having a healthy heart. You don't want to hear about this blue whale and this little tiny bug. But why are we really talking about the heart today? We're talking about the heart because you'll see in this statistic that the total number of deaths from 2020 to 2022, heart disease is the leading cause. And okay, somebody read the fine print and they said, Raenette, that is United States. They supersize everything there in England or in the UK. We do not do that. We eat healthy. But I think there's something on the other slide for them. And maybe they can have a look at the fine print there too. Because in Wales, are you able to see that? Just about. So in Wales, the leading cause of death in June 2022 was ischemic heart disease, which is also as a result of a heart attack. And you know, you said, Raenette, you had your geography wrong, because this is England. That's not Wales. This is not Wales, right? That's what you said, Elder? You said you need to come a little more east. Okay, all right, and that's old data. This is 2023. We're not talking about 2022 anymore. Okay, so allow them to see the other slide so they can have a look at what's happening in January 2023 in England. So let's fast forward. In January 2023, the Office of National Statistics reported that heart attacks are the second leading cause of death. Now, I want you to appreciate that 90% of heart disease or deaths from heart disease can be prevented, you know. This is considered preventable deaths in most cases. So, if we were to just do a few things, it will change our lives. And I know these are a few things that you hear about every day, a few things that I'm going to say that you say, I know that already, but these are the few things that will change your life so that you do not become one of these statistics. So, before we talk about that, what are some of the main diseases affecting the heart? Yes, hypercholesterolemia or high cholesterol. Yes, hypertension or high blood pressure. What's the other one that usually goes with high blood pressure? Diabetes. And then there's one more that confuses all of us because we can't pronounce the name. Well, we'll put it up on the screen, so for those of us who did our phonics, yes. So atherosclerosis, and you see that guy on the next slide? I look like him when I say that word, because a lot of us have no idea what that means. Because it is, and we'll look at the pictures, that's going to help us. So atherosclerosis means a buildup of plaque. And when plaque builds up, you can see it impedes the flow of blood. No, but Pastor, I'm coming to you just now because you don't smoke. he says that he is not going to have plaque buildup. Now, I think the only person in here who doesn't have plaque buildup, I saw a little baby somewhere. That might, yes, I think that's the only person in here who doesn't have plaque buildup, because as you age, regardless of whether you smoke, whether you have a healthy lifestyle, you do have some bit of plaque buildup. But what we're going to do is that we're going to prevent compounding that. So narrowing that vessel so much so that no blood can flow through. So we said that if there is no buildup, blood flows freely, right? As in a normal artery. And if there is buildup, then blood can't pass through. So what happens when blood can't pass through? Yeah, you can have a stroke. What else? You can have a heart attack. What else? Well, you can. It might be after a long time, so the pressure builds up. What happens with your legs sometimes? Yeah, you can have, so what is called peripheral vascular disease. But we're not going to talk about those today because we came to talk about the heart. Yes, we came to talk about the heart. Now, why am I making such a big deal out of this? Because if plaque builds up, we said that it affects all of the vessels in the body. There are some important vessels or vessels that go to important places. So you said stroke, so vessels that go to the brain. We said heart attack, vessels that go to the heart. And while there might not be much discussion as to how plaque buildup happens, our main goal is to prevent it from completely clogging off, and so that none of those things happen to us, our loved ones. Yes? Yes. Okay. So if by chance your blood vessel looks like this one on the screen, so not too much buildup, just enough for some blood still to pass through, what do you think might happen? Yes, we get some warning signs. And in the warning signs, the heart tells us what is starting to happen. So on the next slide, we can see that there are 3 types of vessels. So your normal vessel, which doesn't have much buildup, because I told you that you do get some amount of plaque overall. So your blood flows freely through these vessels. And then there is one down on the second one where there is some plaque buildup. So the blood flow is limited. So it's slower. Some organs are not getting enough blood. And on the third one from the top, there is no flow at all. So we said that we may get some warning signs. Now, what are these warning signs in the heart? Chest pain, yes. So chest pain is one of them. And the fancy name for chest pain, or the medical term for chest pain, will be angina, right? And then the second one is heart attack, yeah? So, what exactly might be? So if I say, am I having angina? What is angina? How does that happen? So we've said that there is not sufficient blood going to the heart. Now, I think when you think about the heart, you think about it as a chamber, right? You think about it as a vault that sends blood everywhere. But remember, the heart is also a muscle. So the heart needs blood for itself. So there are some small vessels that supply the heart, which you are seeing on the outside of the heart. And if those get blocked, then those are the ones that are responsible for you having some chest pain, or they will ultimately responsible for you having a heart attack. And you see that one in particular that's outlined? That one is called the widowmaker. The widowmaker. And I know none of us in here want to be one of those. So we will share, and we'll follow the tips that are coming next. So, angina, the signs can be pressure or tightness in your chest. Some people describe it as a person or an elephant sitting on their chest. It can occur in the middle or towards your left side, and it can be brought on by physical stress. So you're exercising, you're walking up the street, and you have some chest pain. Or you're doing some kind of strenuous activity, and you have chest pain. I think that needs to be checked out. So that is angina or chest pain as a result of heart disease. The other one is emotional stress. So you're stressed by your environment or whatever other causes that can contribute to chest pain also. Now the difference is this one usually goes away after the stressful activity stops. So you walk up the hill, you have chest pain while you're walking up, but then you take a break and the chest pain improves. So that's the difference between that and even when you're having a heart attack. So if you have diabetes though, you might not have that chest pain. You might have something, it feels like a bit of a flutter in your chest. And it feels like a bit of a numbness in your arm, or you feel a bit nauseous. The symptoms are not as specific when you have diabetes. So it means that you will probably need to go to your GP or GP nurse to be checked. Now, how can you tell the difference between chest pain, that is as a result of angina, or if you're having a heart attack overall? So do we know some of the signs of a heart attack? Okay. Yes. So you can have pain in your arm, chest pain. You might have some lightheadedness, nausea, vomiting. You might have pain in your neck or jaw, shortness of breath. Now, women. Yes, my sisters, you are the ones I'm talking to. Now, for us, it is slightly different. 50% of women who have a heart attack will not have chest pain. So you might just have that unusual sensation like the diabetics. You might just have that gnawing in your jaw or in your lower back. And that can be signs that you're having a heart attack. So, how do we then prevent a heart attack? There are some things that we can't change, right? There's nobody who can change anything in this room. Can we change some things? Yes, there are some things that we can change. There are some risk factors that we can change, and then there are others that we cannot. So we'll first look at those that we can't change. So things that I cannot change. My age. I am going to be 21 forever. So that will not change. Okay? So the older you are, the more likely you are to develop plaque. And that plaque buildup is going to increase your risk of having heart disease. So you can't change your age. Can you change? Okay. So men, yes, all the handsome men in here, you are more likely to develop plaque buildup at an earlier age than women. But women, we do catch up to them. So those are things that we cannot change. And then your family history. So if your dad or brother had heart disease before he was 55, or if your mother or sister had heart disease before she was 65, then you are at a higher risk of developing heart disease. And that's something that you can't change. But there's one thing that we really need to address, and that's the heart of the matter. It is that we have to acknowledge that whilst heart disease is the leading cause for death for both men and women, regardless of race or ethnicity, there are some ethnic groups that have a higher level of risk and also contribute to the statistics. And I think looking at the audience here today, we probably fit into the top two groups. Let's scratch the American part, but African females, Afro-Caribbean, Afro-British, Afro, whatever category you want to put yourself in. But as a black female, you are going to be in the 47.3%. As an African male, you're going to be in the 44.8%. So out of the 86 million people that will have heart disease, you make up about half of them. So we really need to discuss how we're going to decrease our risk. So those are things we can't change. But what can we change? Okay, all right. These people know the stuff, Pastor. So the modifiable risk factors. So if you smoke, quit. Quit smoking. Giving up smoking is the single most important thing that you can do for your health. Now, that doesn't have to be tobacco, cocaine, whatever you used to. Give it up. Give it up. Diabetes. Now, you're saying, how can I modify diabetes if I have diabetes? Yes, you can control your diabetes. You can control your diet. You can control your blood sugars. You can bring them as close to normal as possible. Because when you have diabetes, your arteries become hardened over time. So if you are controlling your blood sugars, then you are modifying your risk. High cholesterol. Too much cholesterol increases your risk. And there's one all the way to the far. It's going to be right behind me. Being overweight. Now, last time I was here, I was talking about the big bone or big body people. So, being overweight increases your risk because especially for those of us who carry all the weight in our midsections. Now, that does not include the pregnant woman. Those are not the ones that we're talking about today. All right? And physical inactivity. So if you live a sedentary lifestyle. Now, I know you're asking, what can I do? And I'm glad you asked, because that's what we're here to talk about. What's the first thing I said you can do? No, that's the first thing you said you can do. I said you can quit smoking. So, if you know someone who smokes, then you are going to advise them to quit smoking. And they can get help from their GPs, they can get help from their GP nurses. I'm certain that they can get help from this church, because there are resources available to help you quit smoking. Now, smoking is a major risk factor for heart disease. Nicotine, chewing it, smelling it, smoking it, whatever you do with it, it constricts your blood vessels. It makes your heart work harder. It reduces the amount of oxygen that is taken out of the blood. So if you smoke, quitting is the best way of improving your heart disease. It does. It does. You probably have a slightly lower risk than if you use tobacco, but it still does. Both vaping. Okay, all right, I will. So we've said, and this is a test. So number one, the question is, what can I do? How am I going to improve or decrease my risk of getting heart disease? So number one, we're going to quit smoking, okay? Next is blood pressure. And I'm going to spend a little time here because I know smoking doesn't apply to you, or it might not apply to us, or it might apply to some of us. So I'm going to sit right here, which on this slide applies to us and applies to all of us, because I am certain that your blood pressure must be in one of these ranges. And I really hope that it is in the normal range. And for those of us who are improving our diet and exercise, it might be in the pre-high blood pressure or hypertensive range. But if it's any higher than that, then we need to take stock. So blood pressure is about the force that the heart uses to push blood around the body. All right? Is it? Are you believing me or not? So blood pressure, yes. Because remember when you have your blood pressure checked, we put the cuff around your arm and have a check of how much force the heart uses to push blood around the body. Now, if your blood pressure is higher than normal, then it means your heart is pumping out blood or working harder than usual. And therefore, your arteries are put under constant stress. And that speeds up your plaque buildup. So, your arteries get harder and narrower and clogged even faster. So it increases your risk of having a heart attack and a stroke. Now, the prevalence of high blood pressure the black population is the highest in the world. And it also develops earlier in life. We all know that high blood pressure is always considered to be the silent killer. But why is that? Is that because the heart can become permanently damaged even before you even know that you have high blood pressure, or before symptoms are apparent. But, good news for you, high blood pressure can be diagnosed early. So for those of us who don't like to go to the doctor, we need to have our blood pressure checked. Okay, all right. There is a response. We need to have our blood pressure checked. We need to. I did say, amongst the population here, we are at the highest risk of getting high blood pressure, and high blood pressure early on, which permanently damages your heart. So, get your blood pressure checked. Make sure it stays within that green range. And if for any reason it's red, then you need to go to your hospital immediately. So, are we agreeing to get checked regularly? Sure, sir. What if you have low blood pressure? Okay, so then you are less likely to develop heart disease, but we would have to establish what is the cause of the low blood pressure. And is it just low normal because your body habitus doesn't require as much pressure to circulate the blood around? So if it is a low blood pressure for a specific reason, as a result of some kind of disease or low blood count or persistently losing blood, then it's important to rectify that. Because remember, the blood pressure or blood supplies oxygen to the organs. So if your blood pressure is persistently low, then the question is, are your organs getting sufficient oxygen? And if they are, because of your body habitus, then that's fine. But if they're not, then there must be a way to improve or increase it.
Normal blood pressure is 120 over 80. Do you build a plaque with your normal blood pressure?
Yes. So your plaque buildup is usually due to the aging process. It's not directly related to your blood pressure. So I will have some sort of plaque buildup even at 21 with just because that is the normal progression of the life of the vessel itself. So babies are the only ones who don't have plaque. Everyone else do. But your blood pressure will either speed up that plaque buildup because there's constant flow and damage to the arteries if your blood pressure is consistently high, Or if you're doing other things, like maintaining a healthy lifestyle, or we'll talk about your cholesterol shortly, if you're doing those things, then you're going to keep your plaque buildup to a minimum.
So, but yes, did you say what causes the plaque?
So that's what we're still working on.
Okay.
We don't, medicine is not a complete science yet. So there is still investigation of what causes it. Yes, sister?
What do you call regularity? Oh, thank
What
you.
do I?
Oh, thank you. Regularity. You said initially we have to go and get our blood pressures checked regularly. So what is regularity in that sense?
Okay. So if you have a normal blood pressure, then you should be checked every 6 months within a 6-month period, if you have a normal blood pressure. If your blood pressure is higher, so according to this chart, in that pre-hypertension range, then you're going to have to bring it, the aim will be to bring it either to normal, or, so normal will be 80 to 120 over 80. Okay? So if you're in that pre-hypertension range, then what you will do is that you'll have it checked, you'll do the modification, so either your diet and exercise, and then you have it rechecked over a fixed period again. So usually about 3 months, the doctors will give you to modify or improve your blood pressure.
Apart from surgery, how can you get rid of the plaque?
Hard questions today. There is no true way to get rid of plaque that have already built up medically without surgery. However, there are ways to decrease your risk of further bits of plaque breaking off and going and blocking off other areas. So by decreasing your cholesterol or having it within a normal range, you will prevent further plaque buildup. But I'm not aware of any way medically that you can decrease the plaque that is already present without surgery.
I take oats to get rid of my cholesterol, and it works because every time I have my MOT, they told me that I'm okay there. So, you know, I hope it helps with the plaque.
So I am going to get to that next, and I do support the oats and barley, and you'll see that in a coming slide. But so what it does is that it lowers your overall cholesterol, and that is good in further prevention of plaque buildup. So, good. Now, the slide that comes next actually talks about what we're going to talk about now. So, did you know that all cholesterol...
There's a question.
Ooh, sorry, sister.
I just wanted to, I wish I had that. No, I haven't. I don't know if I'm being a bit technical here now, but the build-up of the plaque in our vessels, in our veins, is that due to the blood? Is that due to, like, if you smoke, you drink, the margarine, the butter, the oil, the frying, everything like that, yeah? So that helps build up, doesn't it? It's the plaque? Am I using the right terminology? I'm sorry.
Yes, you are.
Aha. So if you change your diet, sorry, I'm just asking a question here. So if you change your diet, and we go back to the diet which we're supposed to be eating, and reduce all the fats and reduce everything else, which and do all of that, wouldn't that help with the blood going through? Because it'd be cleansing our blood. Wouldn't that help reduce some of the plaque? Sorry, am I saying plaque? Oh, sorry, plaque.
Now,
I'm just asking that question.
sure.
It's like a kettle, isn't it? You've got
So-
hard water, soft water. Hard water builds up grime, soft water doesn't. So, yeah.
So that's why I said I don't know the exact answer to that question. But what I will say is that changing your diet further decreases your subsequent risk. So if from day 1 of life to age 21, you've had high cholesterol, you would smoke, you decreased your, you would just eat fried foods only, then there would be a certain amount of plaque buildup to that point. If from year 21 to year 40, you've changed your diet, you've quit smoking, you have been eating healthy, you are asking me, am I then reversing the effects? And I said that I do not know the answer to that. What I'm saying is that you are improving the rest of your lifestyle. So are you going to go and scrape off the plaque? Is the plaque that's already in there being scraped off? I don't think so. I think it is that no further plaque is being added onto what is already established. So if we look at this infographic, it shows us that this is what a healthy artery looks like. Now, when you eat, their cholesterol, I was saying all cholesterols are not created equal. So there is good cholesterol, which we call HDL, and you can see what it means up there. High density lipoprotein, that's your good cholesterol. So when you go for your cholesterol check, you know there's a breakdown, and there are a few numbers. So your good cholesterol is the cholesterol that goes back to your liver to get out of your body. And then the bad cholesterol is the one that goes to the vessels to be deposited within the vessels. So if the good cholesterol is high, then you're actually removing cholesterol out of your body. But if your bad cholesterol is high, then you're actually just depositing cholesterol within your vessels. We understand? Okay, so what are some of the causes of high cholesterol? And your sister here already alluded to it. Yes, so the fries that you picked up at McDonald's on your way here. Some red meat, yes. Cheese, yes. High sugars. And then when you avoid all of the healthy stuff, so when you say, there's no brown bread for me, no vegetables, no fruits, I don't eat those things, I do not drink, I do not drink water, I do not eat nuts or grains, all of the healthy stuff, then you're deliberately treating your body wrongly. And then there are some things that we can't change, like your genetics. So there will be a small number of people who have familial high cholesterol, or those who are not active. But that would not be us, because we know better. So let's look at some cholesterol-busting foods. Do we have any cholesterol-busting foods that we know of? Yes, the sister alluded to it before. We'll start with foods with unsaturated fats. So if you cut down on all of these saturated fats, so start eating your vegetable oils, the ones that have olives, sunflower, corn, rapeseed, your seed oils, your avocados, your nuts, seeds, your fat spreads, so not the butter that is made from animal fat, the ghee and all of these things, but your vegetable oils, and some sort of oily fish is actually a good source of healthy unsaturated fats. Fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables.
What about my roti with ghee in it?
We will have to cut back, sister. Believe me, I'm having the same amount of heartburn as you Just the thought of giving up on the roti. But I think everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. We're saying that if you eat only the unsaturated fats, if you eat only the saturated fats without balancing it with the unsaturated fats, then you are not having a healthy lifestyle. So it's about a balance.
Some dal pri and some basabshat.
Yes, this is a sister from my own land. So yes, I support the some dal pri, some basabshat. Okay, so next is fruits and vegetables. And how much? It's already on the screen. Fruits and vegetables reduce your risk of heart disease, stroke, because they contain vitamins, they contain minerals, they have plant chemicals that help you stay healthy, and they have little to no calories. So you can stay healthy and still maintain your weight. Now, if you are eating less fruit and vegetables and more of these energy-packed drinks and bars, then you are not doing yourself any good. Oats and barley. And I support my sister here because my father probably would stand up and talk about how he would be a testimony of how good oats is for improving your cholesterol. So oats and barley are grains which are rich in fiber called beta-glucan. Eating 3 grams of beta-glucan a day as part of a healthy diet and lifestyle can help lower your cholesterol. Now, whenever you eat beta-glucan, this is the fancy part of it, it forms a gel which binds to cholesterol and takes it out of your system. So this limits the amount of cholesterol that is absorbed into your blood, and then your liver can now make bile, which lowers your cholesterol.
I'm Raenette. One question here. You did say something about only babies in terms of plaque. Someone online says, at what age does plaque build start?
It's usually within your first decade of life. So after you turn 10, you have to maintain a healthy lifestyle. This is why we need to teach our kids from early about eating healthy and about exercise and about not smoking, because even from within your first decade, you slowly have a bit of plaque build up. Okay? Nuts. Nuts are a good source of unsaturated fats and are lower in saturated. So you can have a mix of your nuts, and they are good with proteins. They have vitamin E, potassium, plant sterols, all of these things. And they can be filling also. And all nuts count. So you can have a wide variety of them as part of a snack or part of your meal wherever possible. So good options will be your almonds, macadamia, some Brazil, cashews, hazelnuts, pistachios, walnuts, peanuts, pecans, all of the nuts. But remember, everything in moderation. I'm not saying go eat a can of cashew nuts. Or, I mean, and not by can, I mean by the Costco ones, the ones that are this big, and say that this is going to be healthy for you. No.
Question. What options from nuts?
Options?
Nuts. What is there an option? For example, I don't like nuts. Full stop.
Okay. Okay. So then you have the rest, the remaining 5 of the cholesterol busting foods. You will have your, so soya comes up there also. You have soybeans or soy products. They are a good way to replace meat or full-fat cream or even some dairy products. So you will have soy, you can have oats and barley. I like oats. So oats is a good option if you're not fond of nuts. You can have lentils or any kind of beans and peas, and your other foods that are less filled with less unsaturated fats. So we have our cholesterol busting foods. What was before that? High blood pressure. And we're reversing. Before that was? Stop smoking. So first we're going to stop smoking. Then we're going to check our blood pressure, so we'll know our numbers. Then we're going to bring down our cholesterol. Okay? And I have one question before we go on.
I've heard that soy foods actually affect persons who have not had children. Is that a fact or a myth? And what would you suggest if that's the case?
So soy, there is a lot of contention around soy, and its estrogen effects. But the studies have not yet proven that there is any link between soy and cancer or soy and any kind of female reproductive dysfunction. So yes, it is safe to eat, and it is safe to eat in moderation, like everything else we've discussed. Yes, it is. So
We didn't hear the question.
you're saying that it is not the hormone that we expect that affects the balance of male or female. So eating soy foods are not going to make you convert to female or convert to male. That is not, and it's not going to disrupt your female cycle or your reproductive abilities. That is not the case.
One question, Doc. Do you know, like, if you go to the soya milk that we buy from the shop in the box, if you read the box, it's literally 5% of almost all of the soya product that you buy, soya or rice milk or all these. Actually, the highest percentage I've seen is about 10%. Most of it is water and other additives. So how do one get, so the question is, if soy is one of those high cholesterol busting foods, and a lot of vegetarian take a lot of soya product, and with the percentage being so low, what impact does that have on, is there a myth, the question is, that so for example, let's say, like my daughter, she takes a lot of soya, and I look 5%. What percentage does one need? That's my point.
So I have noticed that too when I've read these cartons. So they only, as you said, they get to about 10%. So it's usually 3, 5, 2, oat, soy, rice, milk, barley, anything, hemp, as much as you get to. I have been advocating for making your own soy milk and making your own cashew milk or almond milk. It's actually very good. So you soak, let's a side note for a bit. You soak the beans or whatever it is overnight, and you can make the milk the following day. So blend it, strain it, and the meat that comes out of it, so the husk, you can actually use it to make granola. So, and you dry it out in the oven and you can make granola. So you get a 2-for-1 special. You get a higher, cleaner, probably less processed form of milk, and you get beautiful granola as a plus. And it's very, I mean, I barely have time to cook, and I sometimes mix almond milk or cashew milk or any nut that I could put my hand on. So. Okay. So we have to soak the soya beans, roast it, and heat it as nuts. The beans are the ones that I'm most familiar with. and that's probably the ones that I could give you the best advice on. But I've tried the almond nuts, I've tried the cashew, and those are really good too. And you can use dates or raisins to sweeten.
What I was saying was if you want to get a high value
For soy, yes. The beans are a good source, yes. Yes. I haven't yet tried rice milk, but so diabetes is next. Diabetes is a chronic condition, and it's associated with, we know this, high blood sugars, and the important factor is that it causes, as we said, hardening of the arteries and narrowing, which we know leads to stroke, heart attack, and peripheral vascular disease. I'm saying the same thing over and over. And that's because all of these things tie into one. If our arteries get clogged, they get hard, we suffer the same consequences. So diabetes is treatable and preventable. And if we do some of the, what we've discussed already, to improve our heart, we can control our diabetes and subsequently lower our risk of getting heart disease. So next, so we've talked about smoking, we talked about blood pressure, we talked about cholesterol, we talked about controlling your diabetes. Next we're going to exercise. So we're going to get moving. Yes, yes.
Is the only answer to that to stop being diabetic? Or is there another way of countering that?
Yes, so the answer to that will be to stop being diabetic, or you're going to have to eliminate the fruits that are significantly high in sugars. So my mother absolutely loves mangoes, and I think if you had enough mangoes and you check your blood sugar, it's probably going to be through the roof, just because of how much natural sugars it has within it. So if you are diabetic, there are fruits that you will have to avoid because of the high sugar content.
The strange thing is, now I just had the experience of being given breakfast by a diabetic surgeon, and he actually gave me mangoes, and so I could eat mangoes, but not banana.
Okay.
He took the banana out of my hand and said, but mangoes, no problem.
Because it wasn't the Trinidadian mangoes, that's why. Okay, but no, I do agree. There are some fruits that are higher in terms of sugar content, and you have to avoid those if you are diabetic. So we said we're going to get moving. How much exercise do you need to do at minimum? Half an hour. Half an hour a day. How many times a week? At least 5 times a week. So we need to make up 150 minutes. 150 minutes is the time that makes a difference. So if you want to do 10 minutes 3 times a day, that's fine. If you want to do a 10-minute walk in the morning, 10-minute walk at lunchtime, 10-minute walk in the afternoon, or your full 30 minutes at the end of the day, you just got to keep moving. You have to move. And this has to be brisk physical activity. So whether it's taking the stairs at work instead of taking the elevator, or if you don't live in an area that has a gym or a park, then get out and walk around the neighborhood. But then there are exercises that you can do to still bring up your heart rate enough that it improves, that it makes your heart healthier. So you just need to increase your heart rate, usually to a certain percentage, 100, 150% of the normal, for a few minutes consistently to get to that conditioning. So upper body exercises. Or even if you don't have space, I know you're going to say, well, I live in a flat and there isn't space and I don't go outside because my neighborhood is unsafe. So then start doing high knees around your house or squats every time you go to the bathroom. Or, I mean, there is something that you can do to improve your exercise, to make your exercise a bit more meaningful or just a few more minutes every day. 10,000? Yes. You can get to 10,000 steps. If you are doing 10,000 steps a day, then you are actually doing very well. Get moving. So, maintaining a healthy weight. Pastor, I might not be invited back after I talk about the people's weight. So, a high amount of body fat is related to disease. There are a lot of weight-related diseases and other health issues because you have a high body fat index. Now, being underweight is also unhealthy. So, I know we calculate the body mass index. So, you want to be within normal range to normal range. So, if your BMI, so your weight, as compared to your height, is less than 18, then you are underweight. But if it's over 30 or even over 35, then you are obese or even morbidly obese. But we know that we're going to change that because we're going to get exercising 30 minutes 5 times a week. All right. Now, another way that you can estimate your potential for disease is to take a tape measure, wrap it around your waist, and if you are a man and your waist circumference is more than 40 inches, then you are at risk of, or if you're a non-pregnant woman, key being non-pregnant woman, and your waist circumference is more than 35 inches, then you do need to consider losing weight. Okay? So, weight circumference is not an absolute measure because not all of us are shaped the same. But it is an indicator and it can be a very helpful diagnostic tool. Okay? So, in all seriousness, if your waist circumference is more than 40 as a male, or if your waist circumference is more than 35 as a female, then, and especially if the weight is centrally located, so mainly within your midsection, then you are at potential risk.
How can I calculate my BMI?
So your BMI is a formula, which is a we need to know your height, we need to know your weight. Those are mainly the two. And then we can put it into an algorithm and...
Oh, so it has to be a problem. It's not something where I can just mentally go, oh, it's this divided by that.
It eventually comes down to that, yes. But it is one that we have to put in those numbers. But I can calculate it for you after. If you would like to see me about your BMIs or your waist circumference, I might have a tape measure in my bag. So what can we do? And so the first question was your duty. So your duty is to quit smoking, know your numbers, maintain your blood pressure, or maintain normal blood pressure, lower your cholesterol, check and keep your blood glucose under control, so make sure your diabetes is well controlled. Keep moving. Maintain a healthy weight. So make sure your midsection does not exceed 40 if you're a man, or 35 if you're a woman. So then you're asking, so what do you do? If I am doing all the work, if you have done all of that, what is my role here? So my role will be to make sure that you live a healthy life. That's my duty as a physician. And sometimes you might need help with keeping your blood thin or maintaining your blood pressure. And I should have asked, 2 slides over, do we know any of these medications here? Yes, aspirin. Somebody's seen the slide in the future. Okay, brilliant. Yes, aspirin is on there. Warfarin could be on there too. Clopidogrel could be on there, yes. Yes, the statins are on there. I think the team wants to see the slides. Metformin is on there, yes. And one more for your blood pressure. Yes, lisinopril is on there too. So, as doctors, it's our obligation to help you become healthier. And therefore, we may prescribe medications. If you've done all of the work and we still can't seem to get that blood pressure under control, or the blood is still too thick for some reason or the other, or you can't control your diabetes or even manage cholesterol, or we still need to help you lose weight or quit smoking, then you might need medication. Now, despite all of these things, you have still managed to have a heart attack. Well, not you, because you didn't. You would go home and do what we've said. But somebody who did not see this presentation managed to still have a heart attack after all we've discussed today. So, how do we treat heart attacks? We've talked about the medical stuff. Do you know anybody who had surgery after they had a heart attack? Yeah, transplant is a bit serious. The sister here is bringing out the big guns from early. Yes, so stenting. And what else? Yes, you can have angioplasty and, yes, a bypass. So, if you look at the next slide, you'll see that we can put, so looking at 1, 2, 3, the one that has the cylinder within it, that's a stent, so it keeps the vessel open. The one that looks like a balloon, it's an angioplasty device, so it pushes the plaque aside to reopen the vessel. And on this far side, you can see that, remember I told you about the Widowmaker? So the Widowmaker has the blockage within it, the one that's labeled blockage, and we've bypassed that by using a vessel from somewhere else to give blood to that area of the heart. So bypass, stents, or even in extreme cases, if the heart completely dies, and you can have a heart transplant. Now, if we can prevent getting to this stage, because not all people to survive when they get here. So if we can prevent getting to this stage overall, we will. And I think in summary, having a healthy heart is as easy as A, B, C, D, E. So A, we need to assess our risk. So there are different types of risk assessment tools. If you go to your GP or nurse, they can go through them with you. So it will include you revealing your age. That is your real age, not the ones that you tell to the church. It will include you telling your weight, your height, you're going to have a measurement of your waist circumference. And then with all of this information, we can calculate your risk and assess how we're going to decrease your risk overall. B, we're going to control your blood pressure. We're going to aim to maintain blood pressure within normal range. So less than 120/80. And if you're on medication, then you're probably allowed to have a slightly higher range. You're going to control your cholesterol. And we've discussed some of the ways that we can do it naturally. And if those don't work, then you can also consider medication. Under C, we'll also stop smoking, because we said that smoking is one of the major risk factors for heart disease. D, we'll look at diet and weight, because we're going to have a healthy, balanced diet. Fruits, vegetables, legumes, pulses, unsaturated fats. We're going to have a little bit of, well, the other way around, saturated fats, and some oily fish to put in your omega-3s, or if you don't use that, then your substitutes. And D, you still need to control your diabetes, because your diabetes must be controlled, if it's through diet or exercise in the first instance, or medications. And finally, E, we are going to do exercise. 30 minutes a day, or 10 minutes 3 times a day, or 40 minutes, whatever permutation brings you to 150 minutes at least a week. Because Proverbs 4:23 says, "Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life."
And I didn't touch on this, but and it's controversial. So what about my nice avocado?
No, your avocado is in there, your Zabuca is in there. It's under the cholesterol busting.
Okay.
It's in the good stuff.
Please, concerning about the high blood pressure, I think pregnancy can also cause high blood pressure, because I've experienced that. I was pregnant, and one morning I woke up with swelling feet, so I had to go to the hospital. When I went to the hospital, they didn't say anything than to rush me to the theater to get the baby out. So after that, the doctor didn't, I don't know how to, she should have informed me that there is this preeclampsia. But the doctor didn't say anything. When I asked what caused that, he said, oh, there was something wrong with your placenta and the baby, so they have to take the baby out. So after that, after 6 months later, I was sleeping. I nearly died. Because initially when it came, my blood pressure was 230 over 130. So the doctor should have taught me how to control my blood pressure, but he didn't say anything.
So that is true. Pregnancy does, well, there are certain conditions, which is mentioned, called preeclampsia or eclampsia, which can give you high blood pressure in pregnancy. And in those cases, just like how you can get high blood pressure in pregnancy, you can have diabetes in pregnancy also. And it is necessary for you to have follow-up after, in order to ensure that either your blood pressure or your blood sugar is back to normal range, or you are on medication or modifying those risks in order to maintain that, or in order to get it back to normal.
I just wanted to say, Nestle's milk, it's very bad. It makes your cholesterol high. I remember I was off sick and I was drinking oats porridge every morning with Nestle's milk. Then I went to the doctors and they said I had cholesterol. I said, how comes? And they asked me what milk I was using. So we've got to be careful of using this sweet milk.
Condensed, right?
Yes, yes, sister. The condensed milk that we put on the snow cone or whatever we added to our teas, it's just pure sugar that you are consuming.
Going back to the slide with the Afro-Caribbean as opposed to our white counterparts, why is it that we are a higher risk?
So it is multifactorial. One, it is just by genetic design. Two, most of the surveyed people are of lower socioeconomic status, so they do not access healthcare readily. They are not educated to check their blood pressures or even check for diabetes. And 3, our diet is... Now, shall I share with you, in the Caribbean, on a Sunday for our meals, we will have potato salad, which is a carb. We'll have macaroni pie, which is macaroni and cheese, and lots of cheese and butter. And then you would also have rice. So you've already put 3 carbs in there, and 3 carbs that you've enhanced because they're not delicious until you've put all of the bad fats within them. We also would have beans and then chicken, but that chicken has to be made in coconut milk, and it has to have that good runny. Am I telling the truth? Yes. Okay, so our diets are very unhealthy overall. So it is not only that we are genetically and ethnic, that word, different, but it's also what we put into our bodies. And when we hear about heart disease, I tell you the truth. If somebody tells me, so for example, for that BMI category, I'm in the overweight. If you tell me I'm overweight, I'm going to say, no, I'm not overweight, I'm just the right size. And then we will say, oh, well, the BMI is not for black people. Or I big bone. I always have plenty meat on me. This is the kind of things that we say, ignoring the facts that we are at a higher risk overall for all of these diseases, and we plead ignorance instead of acknowledging, okay, I'm at a higher risk. What am I going to do differently? I am going to exercise. I am going to eat healthier. I'm not saying that you have to eat grains and fruits and vegetables every day, all day, 365 days without eating something, indulging a little. I'm saying do it at least 97% of the times. You will be healthier. You would change your lifestyle overall. So that's why we are in a higher group or risk group.
We live in a very cold climate here. In the Caribbean, it's much more warmer, isn't it? Is there a difference? Because
weather.
The difference for our risk, I don't think so. Because a lot of the data came from within the US, and they would have a similar climate to here. So the risk isn't different. It's more so, I think the mindset is probably still the same. So I expect that if you have a happy heart, you will have a healthy life. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Raenette, for that inspiring session today. And church, I challenge you, let us all have a healthy heart and change our diet and our lifestyle. That's the one.
Right, okay. Thank our health ministry leader, thank Dr. Raenette, and she came with her sister who was shouting out for the bus up, and her 2 lovely daughters who took me to task in my office and took over my office. So nice to have you. Right, thank you very much. And we will be having more of these. So, you know, as said, we need to make adjustment whether at home, at work, or even at church. All right, so let's stand and we will have a prayer. We'll have a prayer. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for today. Thank you for Dr. David traveling all the way from Bristol to come and share these things with us. Help us to assess ourselves. What adjustment do I need to make? Be it my diabetes or my inactivity or even my BMI. Because the fact is, the healthier we are, the better our worship will be. So be with us. And as we share these sessions with our members, help us to invite people who are struggling and who are having challenges, so that their lives, their heart will be healthier. And as we travel to our various homes, may you travel with us, and may you bring us back. May you bring us back on Wednesday evening when we have our prayer meeting online, so we can thank you, because also a praying person has a healthy heart spiritually. Help us to build. Take us home and take Raenette and sister and nieces back to Bristol safely. It's our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, and thank you for coming out. So next week is going to be trauma, how to deal with trauma. And all of you are traumatized, having listened to the healthy situation. So come and see how to deal with trauma next week. God bless you.